Hey, everybody. I am Mike, also known as Junk Wax Hero. I'm joined by Greg from Midlife Sports Cards here on YouTube. Although you might be listening to this as a podcast because this is episode number 1 of our brand new podcast, which we're going to get into a little bit here. Greg, good to see you. How are you today?
Good. It's good to be here. I'm excited. This is going to be fun. Not done any podcasting, but I've been interested in taking on this platform. So I'm excited for what's to come.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about how we got here. First of all, I have enjoyed your channel for a long time. You and I met for the first time at the National in 2024, and I've watched the vast majority of your videos since then. I've been watching some of them up to that, but really have enjoyed them. And then we hung out a lot at the National this year, 2025, and I've really enjoyed hanging out, talking to you. We have a similar kind of vibe, but we also disagree, which is great. We disagree on a lot of things, and we're going to talk about that later on in this video. Uh, and so after the national this year, must have been maybe a week after the national, I gave you a call and I said, "Hey, we should do a podcast together." And you said
I said, yeah, let's do it. That sounds fun.
it was so easy. So then we were like, okay, we don't know what to do. We have no idea what to do. We've never done podcasts before. And so we ended up having a conversation with a podcasting group, and it was very promising. And we thought, this is great. But then you gave me a call, and why don't you take it from there?
Well, I think that one of the things that you and I have in common, and we do have a lot in common, although we do have differences, like you like the Red Sox. I um I think I think that what we have in common is what's more important to us than to have a broad reach or clicks or likes is that we want to stay true to ourselves, and we want to protect our image, protect what content is clipped and when and where. And so I just was like, you know what? It'll be harder to try to figure this out on our own. And we already have a lot of irons in the fire. I mean, you just said that you've watched most of my content. That is quite an undertaking because I do a lot and they're not short. And so it was just one of those things where it's like, this is going to be difficult. But maybe instead of joining another group, maybe we just kind of start something and figure out how to do this. And so that's where we are. And then I said, well, we should find a partner then. And you said, well, yeah, like who? And I started throwing around some ideas. And why don't you tell how it went from there?
Well, one of the two names that you gave was Adam of Splendid Sports. And I said, yes, that is the one right there. And we were on from there. We called Adam, and I think you went into like this lengthy sales pitch. And as soon as you paused for a second, Greg said, I'm in. And I wondered at that point, at what point could Greg have paused and given Adam the opportunity to say, I'm in? I bet it would have been like 7 seconds in because he seemed so eager.
Yeah.
But you and I were kind of nervous, like,
Yeah.
is Adam going to be interested in doing this? But Adam brings some things to the table that you and I don't have. Talk through that.
Yeah, well, Adam is he it's funny because in a recent conversation he was talking about how he's not like a technology guy. I'm like, yes, you are. Like it we all nobody thinks you're good at technology because there are gaps in their technology expertise. But Adam has posted his stuff to podcasts for a long time. Adam owns a company that does a lot of media stuff and a lot of web stuff and a lot of search stuff and but more importantly, he's a really great guy. Again, even though he's a Red Sox fan, he's a really good guy. And and so it was like, well, he would be a fun guy to be able to communicate with and visit with and do this with, and I trust him. but he's got some expertise in some areas that, or at least experience in some areas, and he was just like somebody that I think we wanted to hang out with. And at the end of the day, what everything revolves around is you have to like who you're doing projects with. I mean, the worst thing as a kid was, in school, you'd be in a group project and you'd have a couple of people in your group that you just didn't want to be around. You have to like who you're doing projects with. And so, I I don't think the intent of this is to replace anything. I'm still, doing my ongoing YouTube partnership with my buddy Darren, Return to Collecting. He's a really good friend of mine. I'm still going to be doing my live streams that I've been doing on YouTube with different groups of people. This is just an in addition to, which that's the part I'm most nervous about, is because in addition to a full menu is the part that I'm a little bit concerned. So I don't know how frequently we're going to be doing this. I know we want to make it a regular thing, and I know that we want it to be at least a couple times a month, ideally once a week, and we'll see how that goes. 40 minutes to an hour each time we do it, to just talk about hobby topics and, where we're at. And because I think that more than anything, we're not guys who have an agenda when it comes to the hobby. We are just people who enjoy it. And so talking about it is fun. I have phone calls all the time with friends about stuff going on in the hobby. This is a phone call where we just record it and then we put it up for other people to enjoy if they enjoy it. And if they don't, that's fine. So, I don't know. Did I answer the question? I don't even remember what the question was.
I don't either, but it was well said. And one of the things that I respect most about you is your ability to just kind of go off the cuff for 20 minutes by yourself talking with no notes. And I don't know how you do that because I need notes for every like minute of content that I put out. But so we ended up talking to Adam and we agreed on a name. And we're calling this a podcast network. We also have a YouTube channel, we have an Instagram, we have a Twitter account. The podcast network is called Sports Card Clubhouse. And this podcast series of you and me is called Surface Issues because
For
we
obvious
both
reasons.
we both have surface issues and we like vintage. And we would love to put it out weekly. We don't know that that's going to happen, and certainly not going to guarantee it. You'll be able to watch it on YouTube, but also listen to it on hopefully your favorite podcast platform. And that's something that you and I know nothing about, but Adam is setting up for us. Uh, and then there's other opportunities here that I didn't have if we had gone with a podcasting network, which is like I want to have conversations with certain dealers, like my local card shop. The owner of that local card shop and I have been talking for a while about doing a video series or podcast series where he and I just talk about the market and what's hot and things like that. And uh, I would love to be able to do that probably once a month. And I can put that on this podcast network, and it's a perfect fit. And I know that there are other conversations too. Like I've talked to certain other creators outside of YouTube that I could bring in here and talk to and have conversations with about certain segments of the card hobby that I wouldn't normally have an opportunity to talk about. And so we can put those on here. And if you or Adam want to do something too, this could be a bustling podcast platform.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And then, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I definitely think we have some ideas that can be incorporated with what we're starting here, and we'll see what happens. Um, you said something a second ago. You said I wrote it down because I took a note. I don't usually do a lot of notes, but I do take notes when other people talk because I don't want to misspeak what they said. But you said, I don't know how you talk that long off the cuff without any notes. And it's because I just am speaking from the heart. When you're having a phone conversation with somebody, you don't take notes when you're talking to your friend about what you're talking about. You just share what you feel, what you think, and you don't need notes to do that. Authentic conversation, in my opinion, is or thoughts just come from the heart, and you don't have to plan them. You just kind of speak about them, and that's one of the things I'm hoping to do here with you is just off the cuff. Just what do you think about certain things? And we do have a topic here. We're not going to just speak for, 45 minutes or something about how we're starting this up. What we're also going to talk about a topic and and just share our thoughts on that particular topic. Um, I guess I would ask, if I was somebody out there, I would say, why are you doing this on a podcast? And why are you guys doing this on podcast? Why don't you just do this on your YouTube channels? Like, what would your response to that be?
A whole new medium for me is very appealing. I've never dabbled in Instagram Reels. I've never dabbled in podcasting, and these types of things. Uh, I like trying new things, and I'm not exactly an early adopter, as you can tell, and I don't have a ton of time. But as I was moving into this new hobby room, let's call it a card room, uh, for the first time in the 4 years I've been doing YouTube, I have more opportunity to record videos, let's say, or podcast. Because in the past, I had very limited opportunity because it's where I was in my basement was a very busy area. And so I'd have to say, okay, I need 15 minutes. Give me 15 minutes to record a video. And now I can close my door and I can talk whenever I want. I can come down here at any time. Before I was doing my videos at 5:30 in the morning. I can do these anytime I want now. And so I started thinking, what else do I want to do? Do I want to do just more videos and have my channel be busier, or do I want to try something new? And for me, it's always try something new. Unless I'm going to a restaurant, in which case I'm always going to try the thing I know I like because I've just spent a lot of money on food. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
that's the answer for me.
that's well said. I think for me, as a teacher, I use a lot of visuals for my presentations with my students, and I'm constantly trying to write on the whiteboard and show things on the screen and use the projector and give demonstrations on different whatever it is we're talking about. And I think that visuals really help a lot of the time in the learning process and in the explanation process of what somebody's talking about. But the other flip side of that is sometimes when there's a visual, the visual can distract from the message or the words. And so for me, one of the things I'm interested in is I'm interested in trying out a podcast because the only thing there is are the words. That's it. It's not, well, look on your screen here and see this. And I've got, do I look right? And what shirt am I wearing? And, is there a shadow on my face or any? I don't really usually pay that close attention to that, but I do when I start to get a slump in my tripod. I'm like, and I got to fix this mid video. But this, I can just talk and I don't have to worry about adding images and I don't have to worry about all this stuff. And if I'm going to add something to the plate, because the plate is kind of full for the most part, because, being a dad and being a husband is much higher on the priority list than hanging out with you here, Mike. Sorry. But this allows me to just have an authentic talk and conversation, and that's it. And that is, to me, a more sustainable addition to my plate. And it puts focus on the words instead of the presentation. And so I want to try it out and see what happens. And I hope that this goes on for a long time. But who knows what'll happen? So
Yeah.
do you want to dig into some stuff now that we've gone for 15 minutes?
Yeah. Let's talk
Okay.
about your video that you put out this morning,
Yeah, so we are recording this on September 13th. Which
Saturday.
we haven't even mentioned this. And I don't know if I want I'm about I just said, "Hey, let's get on the on ramp," and then I said, "Hold on, let's do a U-turn." we haven't even really mentioned this to any of our friends that we're doing this,
We have
which is,
not a single person.
do you feel do you f- it feels sneaky, and I'm not a sneaky person, and I'm not a person who does secrets. That's not really my thing. I'm kind of an open book. I feel a little weird about that, and I'm really, really looking forward to getting this going so that I don't have to not talk about it, not keep a
Yeah.
secret, but not talk about it. And and I don't even really understand why I felt the need to not talk about it with people. It's like, why didn't I just tell people I was doing it? I think it's one of those things where if you tell someone what you're doing before you do it, then you have actual like pressure to actually like follow through with it. And what if something happens and it falls apart and then you told people you're going to do it and then you didn't do it? It almost feels
Did
like I wanted to start it so that it was actually a thing before I shared that there was a thing.
did you tell your friends and family that you were trying to have a baby? Or did you wait until your wife was 12 weeks pregnant?
That's a good question.
We
Well,
are
again,
now 12 weeks pregnant, Greg.
wow. Yes, that is a good analogy. That is a good analogy. That is a good analogy. I told a couple people that we were trying to get pregnant. But yeah. Yeah, good point. That's fair. Okay, back to the on ramp. So my video this morning, I have felt that this week I have absolutely had many, many reminders in just about every aspect of my life that there are a lot of differences in the way people see things, and there are a lot of similarities in the way people see things. And specifically with cards, I feel like what I tend to do, and I'm just going to speak for me, but I think that this probably applies to a lot of people. I was sort of doing a confessional, is the way I looked at it, but saying, "Do you guys?" It seems like other people do this too. Why do we all do this? We focus on our differences instead of focus on our similarities, and I feel like vintage card collectors at times kind of talk about why if you're not a vintage card collector, it's a mistake. And modern card collectors are like, "Oh, those guys are old and nobody's going to care about them." And it's kind of a negative way to go through things. And it's not just with what we collect, but how we collect. If I get more hate when I post something that could be perceived as pro SGC or pro PSA by the opposite side. And even this morning when we were on Hobby Hotline, there we were talking about grading and issues of grading, and there were a couple of people that were just beating us over the head with, well, my one touch cards look great. Cards don't have grades with one touches. And it's like, yeah, I know you like raw card, you like ungraded cards. That's cool too. I'm all for that. But we're just talking about some of the issues with this. So I just feel like we focus too much on where we're different when the overwhelming amount of what we think and what we like is the same. Why do we do that?
Yeah, and same video, Hobby Hotline this morning. I mentioned that I like some Jeff Wilson videos, and there were a couple of comments that were upset about that. And one of those commenters, a long time, amazing commenter, super nice guy. We email back and forth occasionally, and I don't think he liked that I said that. And I get it. I'm with him. I understand it, but we agree on almost everything else. And we can disagree on one thing. I'll give you a really, really extreme example here that kind of paints your picture. Several years ago, I was a guest on Bench Clear Media with Mike Moynihan, baseball collector Mike. And we were talking about the GOATs of basketball. I don't remember what the topic was exactly, but I said that LeBron wasn't even in my top 3 or 4, something like that. It was Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I made a case that Curry could be ahead of LeBron. And we got a comment that somebody has always loved Bench Clear Media and has always loved my channel, Junk Wax Hero, but they had to turn off the video, downvote it, unsubscribe from Bench Clear, and unsubscribe from my channel because I felt that LeBron wasn't a top 3 all-time player. And they were just done with me and with Bench Clear Media because of one small disagreement. And that's, to me, that's outrageous.
Mm-hmm. No, it is outrageous. It is. If we all agree, sort of like to what Dr. Beckett said on Hobby Hotline this morning, if we all agree, it's boring. Like,
So boring.
the fun is in having different opinions. But what I feel like has happened in the world recently is if you don't have the same opinion, then you have to attack that opinion. And I totally understand why some people prefer SGC. I understand why some people prefer PSA. I understand why some people prefer raw cards. And to be totally honest, I at times bounce between those three myself. At times I'm like, I'm an SGC guy. And then times I'm like, I think I'm going to go PSA. And then I'll go, I'm just going to go raw. I jump from one lily pad to another. And then when I take a stand with one of those, or I kind of associate myself with one of those, it's like the anger that other people have for having that opinion. It's like, this is just what piece of plastic my card is in. We both love cards. We both love the same types of cards, but you are like angry, like some, and again, and I said this in my video today. Here I go focusing on the few people who leave those angry comments when the overwhelming majority of people that watch my YouTube videos give me a thumbs up. I mean, I'll do a video and it'll have 110 comment ups and down thumb marks, and I'll have 108 thumbs ups and 2 thumbs downs. And I go, I got 2 thumbs downs. I don't ever walk in and go, I got 108 thumbs ups. I don't do that. So I am guilty of it myself. And I am very guilty of all of these things. I do this stuff. There have been times where I say, my goodness, use the most expensive card of all time is a, modern card that was made in a factory, not that long ago. And it's rare because they decided to make it rare. Like, and then I have to fight myself back and go, but somebody else really likes it. So who's to say that I'm right and they're wrong? And so I do it. I'm as guilty of all of these things as anyone, but I don't want to be that way. It's like the person that I am and the person that I want to be are still quite a ways away from each other. And so a lot of the times when I'm making comments like this in a video or in a Q&A or just on the phone to a friend, I'm not simply pointing the finger at another person. They keep doing this. I'm also pointing the finger inward and going, why do you do this? Like, I do it too, and I don't want to do it. So why do I do it?
Same thing with comments, right? You could get 150 glowing comments telling you how much they love you and this is their favorite channel. But one comment that picks you apart will stick with you. And not just you, but any of
Yeah.
us. How dare you say something positive about the WNBA or collect WNBA cards? That's one. Anytime I mention Caitlin Clark or Sue Bird or show one of those cards, I get torn apart by 2 or 3 comments of people who can't possibly like my channel anymore because they disagree with the WNBA having good cards.
And you remember those comments. And
Yes, every
you're
time.
saying, I remember that, but you don't remember all those comments that are saying how much they agree that it's great that, women's sports cards have gotten more attention and have gone up in value and have become more relevant. The ratings of the WNBA are up. Like, it I guess is it human nature, or is it some sort of wiring that we go through post birth that has gotten us to this point where we're like a porcupine and we take our quills and we put them up as soon as there's a danger nearby, that we get super defensive. Because I do believe that, and there are going to be times that, we're doing this and you and I have difference of opinion. And you are going to take a side. I mean, right now we're agreeing for the most part, but there are going to be times that we disagree. And if we just sit here and go, "You're so right, Mike," "Oh, Greg, you're so right," "No, you're more right," that would be so nauseating. Like, we're going to
It would be.
disagree. Again, you like the Red Sox, so we are not
I
going
like
to agree
I
on.
like CGC.
You do like CGC. Well, that's a whole different episode. We can do a different episode on that, because I almost took the bait. You set the hook in my mouth, and I almost took it. I'm not taking that one today, but I will. Maybe that'll be our next episode. And you just said you weren't an early adopter a few minutes ago, and here you are telling me about CGC. Again, I'll save my ammunition for later. Um, yeah, I get. Is it human nature? Is that what it is, or have we been programmed to be defensive?
Oh, I don't think I think it's the social media age where it's all about it's all about clicks, and it's all about uh, what is the word I'm looking for? Sound
Attention.
bites.
Oh,
Sound bites, and yeah, attention and tension. And there's just this kind of outrage factory in at least America, where people are just looking to get outraged and to show that they're outraged about something because they can post it on some sort of social media platform and get attention from it.
why do we need attention? Well, I mean, you and I have a similarity that when we were young, we were both really quiet, shy kids. And a lot of my core is still that way. I know people don't believe that because they see me in things and like, look at you, you're out and you're doing stuff. I can be social. It's exhausting for me to be social. But here are
Okay.
a couple of shy kids who didn't want to be in a group project, wanted to do their stuff on their own, wanted
Yes.
to just be quiet in the corner and not noticed, never wanted the teacher to call on them while other kids all had their hands in the air. But now we're on YouTube, and now we're making a podcast, and we've put ourselves out there. So we we must not hate attention that much. So I don't even, that doesn't even make sense, that we're saying people want attention. We're saying we grew up not wanting attention, but here we are in a situation that gathers attention. How does that? How do we defend ourselves to that? And do we need to defend ourselves to that?
I want limited attention. I don't want to go viral. I had a video last November that I don't know how many views it has now, well over 150,000, and I don't like it. I don't like the feeling. Every month I see, oh, it's got another however many thousand views, because it's all kinds of people that are watching that would never normally watch my channel. And I want people to watch my channel who um, want to be mildly entertained and maybe learn a little something, but they're not looking to get mad at people. And that's what happens a lot when your videos go out of the normal range of people who are watching or listening to them. You're going to get more people who disagree with you, who don't like you, who get mad at you, and that's not comfortable for me, and I don't like it. And so I would rather have, like you have talked about, wanting to cap your subscribers and
Mhm.
cap your viewers of your videos at a certain number, like I'm saying, because once it gets out of there, out of that small number, a clubhouse, for instance, um, it can get a little bit uncomfortable for people like you and me who just want to talk to like-minded people. And I don't mean
Yeah.
like-minded where we agree on everything, but where we can disagree professionally.
Yeah, it's I totally hear that. And it does seem like the videos that get the most attention are the ones that are controversial. And I don't enjoy being controversial. Um,
Right.
I'm willing to be controversial, but I don't want to intentionally cause controversy. I mean, there are some channels out there that intentionally will find controversy or create controversy because it will
Hmm.
get them attention. And I am a very philosophical. I enjoy the philosophy on how people do what they do. The thing that I love the most about the hobby is sitting down next to a Mike Petty or a Tony Liebrick or a Darren and saying, "Why are you collecting? Why did you buy that? What's the next card you want? Why do you want that card next? What is right now the thing that you're kind of interested in?" And that's one of the reasons that the Hojcasts I love so much is he's such a philosophical guy, and I don't like controversy. When I talk about a grading situation, when I talk about feels like PSA is grading harder now than they did, that's not to create controversy. That's to say, do you guys think that too? And if you do think it, what steps should you take as a result? And and why might this change the way that you buy or what you buy or the grades that you seek? It's not to create controversy. It's not designed to be clickbait. It really isn't. It's designed to be answering why somebody is wired and thinks the way that they are thinking. That's the part that I find interesting. I am curious, like you've got your 100 cards of envy, right? And some people would look and go, "Wow, you have a tennis card on there?" Like you just showed the other day, a figure skating card. I watch your videos. See?
And
And
that's not in my 100. It's in my top women's cards. But
okay,
yes,
different
there
list.
are tennis cards. There are wrestling cards. I'm not even into wrestling. There are. I'm just looking around here. Yeah, tennis, football. I don't collect football, but I have a handful of football cards. Boxing. In the first half of the 20th century, boxing was massive in
Yeah.
America, and some of the best cards from the first half of the 20th century are boxing cards, and
Yeah.
they're so cheap too. But you think about the most famous people at that time. You got Babe Ruth, you got Joe DiMaggio, but then you have a lot of boxers too. And so I wanted my list to encompass the most famous people of their time,
Yeah.
in who were athletes.
Yeah. I mean, there's a Jack Johnson card that I came across my eBay feed just the other day, and it's a nice looking card and attractive grade and attractive price. And it's one of the three or four cards bouncing around in my head right now about, should I go for that? And for that exact reason. And Jack Johnson's a special figure in sports in that he's one of the very first, not the first, but one of the first African American superstars, which created, obstacles for him, which makes his story even more interesting. But yeah, I mean, and I'm not even trying to go on a tangent down that road. It's just I'm not trying. I've never made a video trying to create controversy. Literally, every video I've ever made has been. Did you shake your head like maybe I did, or I?
I maybe early on I did. I thought because I was early on in my channel history, I was definitely chasing views,
Hmm,
and I probably did something to thinking, oh, this is going to get a lot of views, and realized that very quickly that wasn't something that I was interested in doing.
now let me kind of probe you a little bit on that. So, do you think it's like the the wealthy guy who has a lot of money? I mean, he doesn't really care about money as much anymore versus before you have money, you're really desperately trying to acquire money. is it that your channel got to a point where you were getting views and the views didn't scratch the itch as much anymore? Or is it that you just don't like controversy even before your channel was getting attention?
It's a great question. It's the latter for the most part. I don't like the controversy. I remember when I would post a video and I would be getting all kinds of comments from people who had visceral reactions to my video, who were really upset. Like I did a video about a certain hobby influencer one time, and his fans came into the comments and were very upset. And it was a very, very tame take that I had, but these people were very upset, and I had a hard time sleeping that night
Mm.
because of their reactions to it. And I didn't know any of these people, but it was just a very uncomfortable time for me uh, that night, and even the next day, going through all the comments, thinking, "Ugh, this is it's not my style." And I think that there were some people who subscribed to me because of that, and I hope that they weren't expecting more of that. But that they've probably all unsubscribed, right? Because that's just not my style, and I shouldn't have tried it. I should have known better, but I was trying out new things with YouTube and tried it.
If you look in the sports commentary whole world and you say, who is the most controversial sports commentary talking head opinion person? And I think most people would say Stephen A. Smith.
Or Skip
And
Bayless. Skip Bayless is just constantly trying to stir up stuff on purpose, and he makes up things that he doesn't truly believe just to stir up controversy and get people talking. But same thing with Stephen A. Smith.
if you look at the ESPN payroll, I think Stephen A. Smith is the highest paid guy, and
Yeah.
all he does is try to trigger people.
Yep.
Um, there are definitely YouTube channels, and some of them are dormant at the moment, and some of them are not, and some of them are still flying high, where it was all about triggering people. And some of the people from some of these channels I met personally, you know, um, sports card radio. I'm not a person who just goes off talking about different content creators, but those guys, I'll just say this. I I watched their stuff. I listened to their stuff.
Me too.
I found a lot of it to be entertaining.
Yep.
Uh and they live about 45 minutes from me. And so I used to see them at shows there's a show coming up in a couple of weeks that I'm going to try to go to and I think they'll probably be there. And they're relatively just like us. But there's like a character that
Right.
that sometimes in the market there is an opening. There's a segment for somebody who's just trying to kind of needle people. And and I think that there is definitely some people who want to consume that. And I watched it. So there's definitely
I do.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you had mentioned Jeff Wilson earlier, and I'm subscribed to Jeff Wilson, and you said earlier today that you watch some of his stuff. I love watching his trade videos where he's negotiating deals and he's kind of explaining why he does a deal. I find those interesting. Um, I've never met Jeff, but I've had conversations with people in his inner circle, and I know now for a fact that for a long, long time, his policy was not to be controversial. It was to say whatever it is they were saying, but it wasn't they wouldn't take down any negative comments. I mean, this was told directly from me from inner circle of them is they're not ever going to take down any comments. They're not ever going to get into a spat back and forth with negativity. They were going to leave it all up, and they were going to refrain from engaging in it. And then about 4 or 5 months ago, they started to engage in it. I should say, he started to engage in it. And people in his inner circle said, "This is against the policy. This is not what we're doing." And they said, his statement to them, again, I'm not just making these things up, but people that I've talked to said he got to the point where he said, when you're controversial, you get more attention, and you might have more people like you and have more people hate you, but you have more people around. And that's actually, for me, uh the not what I'm trying to do. But I
Yep.
understand why
Same.
somebody would do that. I
Yep.
understand why when Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless says something wild, it gets attention. I understand why they do that. But that's not for me. That's not the thing that gets me excited and worked up. I just want to have fun conversations about the why, not the what, the why. Why, what makes you tick? Mike, why do you collect cards of figure skaters? And you say, well, I like cards of goats. I respect people who reached the pinnacle of their craft. And so those people, I respect anybody who achieved that. So I want to collect something about them, and it's through cards. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I have interpreted that you're saying it. I totally respect that. I get it.
And to be clear, I only have, I think, two figure skater cards. I have a Nancy Kerrigan, Sports Illustrated for Kids, and now the Sonia Henney, 1937 Ogdens. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I have a lot of different sub collections within my broader collection, and one of them is the most iconic athletes of their sport of all time, and I
Yeah.
love those. Uh,
Yeah.
I've always been really interested in who's the greatest now and who's the greatest of all time.
Yeah. And that could be a whole nother conversation about how do the greatest now stack up against the greatest of all time? Because that's the generational changes is maybe something for a future episode that I would love to hear your opinion on and kind of kick around, because you hear about all these people say, "Oh, Babe Ruth, you know, that guy was playing against plumbers and electricians. He wouldn't even get a hit nowadays.
He
If
was
he
playing against the best of his era, though. Well, he was only playing
well,
against white people, so that's tough to say, but
you're
the
you're
best people
you're
he was allowed to play with.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could come up with a lot of counter argument, but that's an interesting conversation that maybe at some point we could discuss. Y- I mean, so where do we go from here? I mean, we're 43 and a half minutes into episode 1. Um, how do people if there's something that people want to hear about, do they just sit back in their recliner and or in their car as they're hitting cruise control and wait to see what topics we come up with? Like, what are we going to do here? What's the plan?
People can certainly propose topics to us if they'd like. That doesn't mean we're going to take them because you and I are going to have to agree on a topic every episode. And we'll have subtopics within each episode too. It's certainly not going to be 40 to 60 minutes of us talking about the same topic every week. I might want to talk about the 5 greatest snack foods in history
Mm,
because that's something that I might do a little aside on, things that I like in my newsletter, chunkwaxhero.com. I talk about horror movies every single week, and that people enjoy that.
mm,
And so it's just a little aside in my newsletter near the bottom, and that I like those things. Like sometimes I think I just bought some new Skippy peanut butter ball type things that were amazing. And where do I talk about those? Oh, I'll talk about them on my channel. or on
Okay.
this podcast.
Maybe we could have an end segment each week that is a quick little
Yes.
topic like that. Like if I mean, see, I have no preparation, so I would have to come up with this off the top of my head on top 5 snack foods of all time. But I mean, you got to have popcorn in there. That's definitely
Gosh,
one. You got to. Oh, he's just scoffing at
overrated.
me. Scoffing. Popcorn's. Just remember this, guys. When you're figuring out which of us you like more, he just said popcorn was overrated. I mean, popcorn's definitely in there. I'm a Cheez-It guy. My daughter, one of my daughters loves Cheez-Its. The other one is disgusted by Cheez-Its. So, are you an
There's
extra
always
toasty?
No, I'm not, and I just tried these
Oh,
buffalo wings, which are okay, but I only got these because the, cheddar jack was out, and cheddar jack is my all-time favorite. There's always a box of Cheez-Its on my desk next to me, always.
so we can agree on Cheez-Its as a snack food. I don't know. You scoffed at me so hard. I'm now insecure after that popcorn thing. Give me a little taste. So you like Cheez-Its? Give me a couple that are qualified answers instead of my garbage answer.
Wow, I also we'll save this for another time.
Okay. Okay. Give me one.
I love chips, like Doritos, I love
Oh,
Little
well,
Debbie
yeah.
snacks. We could do a whole, like, what are the greatest Little Debbie snacks?
What so I don't know brands. Little Debbie. What would a Little Debbie snack? Give me an example of a Little Debbie snack. What does that
Um,
even mean?
I'm trying to think of what they're called. Swiss cake rolls
Oh.
or nutty bars.
Oh, Nutty Bars. I'm all about Nutty Bars. I do
Yes.
like Nutty Bars. We called them peanut butter bars in the elementary school cafeteria, and I used to pull them off layer by layer and eat each layer
Yes.
individually.
Me too, when I was a kid.
Oh,
Yeah, now I just shove them in my face.
I didn't know that was Little Debbie. Good to know.
Yeah.
My wife was I was talking to her about those the other day because Reese's makes a variation, a smaller, thinner variation now. They're called like Reese's sticks or something that are
Yeah.
quite good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. We gotta leave them wanting more, right? So isn't that the
Sure.
trick? I mean, we gotta
Yes.
use all of our tricks here. So, well, this is us. This is Surface Issues on the Sports Card Clubhouse network, which where do we go from here? I don't know, but this is the genesis right here. You heard it from the horse's mouths.
Yeah, and we might, we will have a website soon. I don't know if it's all ready yet, but, that'll be soon. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I don't know what we'll be doing on YouTube or Twitter, but we have accounts there.
Okay. Is it possible that we'll be posting these things on YouTube?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, but don't expect many graphics. It would just be
No,
it
just
would
audio.
it would be basically just what you hear is what you get.
Yeah,
Hopefully, I'll have
yeah.
to make sure then that I'm not wearing my pajamas. All
I'm
right.
keeping the
Well, that
comments to myself.
okay. Well, this was fun. Great first conversation. Enjoyed it. Looking forward to what's to come. And where we go from here is a very open to be determined.
Yeah. I appreciate everybody listening to episode number 1, and we'll have more coming up very soon.
And any of our friends who are hearing about this after the fact, um, because a couple in particular, one in particular, I know is cursing under his breath. Uh, it's not that it was a secret. I was just afraid it would unravel before it happened, and
Me too.
then, and so this is now we can talk about it because apparently this is reality. So,
Yeah.
all
Yep.
right, until next week, probably, hopefully.
Maybe. Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, buddy. Talk to you
Thanks,
later.
Greg.
Bye.
Bye.